Hello and welcome to a new series of View from the Sideline podcast. Coming up this week, we take a look at the summer transfers, the England squad, and how our teams are faring up so far in the league. Plus, we've got a quiz, a Who Am I, and more Wonders of White. So let's get started. Hello and welcome to a new series of View from the Sideline podcast. It's Chris here, and Liam's back. Hello, Liam.
Hi, Chris. How you doing?
Yeah, not too bad. Good summer.
Lovely summer. Well, summer's only just arrived because this is like the first hot day we've had all year. But yeah, it's a good summer. I've been busy working, got some DIY stuff to do around the house, which is lovely in 30-degree heat. So I am a sweaty mess.
Yeah, I don't think I've stopped sweating all day today. I'm just not used to this sort of heat. It's kind of just come from nowhere, isn't it? It's just mad. Literally, like, kids have been off for 6 weeks and it's literally rained for 90% of that time. And even when it was sunny, it wasn't even that hot. So, I mean, we're just getting absolutely blasted at the moment. I think it's going to be all week. So yeah.
Just in time for the international break.
Yeah, I mean, we are going to talk about that actually in a minute. Some rather controversial choices, I think, from Gareth Southgate's squad, and him saying that he would always pick the players that were in form. I mean, as we'll talk about in a minute, not completely true. But
no.
Yeah, so we've got all the usual features in part two. A quiz, Who Am I, and some Wonders of White. But we'll get straight in then with the England squad, which was announced was it Thursday or Friday last week, I think.
Yeah.
And it's probably safe to say that a lot of people's jaws dropped to the floor. I think the most obvious one is probably the inclusion of Harry Maguire, who hadn't played a single minute of football up until yesterday and didn't really give a great account of himself yesterday either. So, I mean, I know he's very keen on Harry Maguire, and he's sort of been he's his defender, isn't he? He's been ever present in that squad since Southgate was England manager. But you could say that about Harry Kane, but Harry Kane actually scores lots of goals, whereas Maguire isn't playing.
Yeah.
And when he does play, I mean, you're not getting the best version of him. So I think a lot of people, I think that was the biggest inclusion that people were sort of raising their eyebrows at. I don't know what you thought about.
Yeah, I think we spoke a lot. I think we spoke about him in the pre-season special actually, because it looked like he was getting a move, didn't it, to West Ham at one point?
I think we even thought that he was actually already gone.
Yeah, I think we did.
Signing for West Ham. So.
Yeah, obviously it didn't happen, but I think he's clearly so low on confidence. Like, the look on his face when Ten Hag called him up off the bench yesterday was genuinely priceless. Like, oh, me boss, really? Am I actually going on? Okay, and then not that the goals were his fault, particularly, but he came on at 1-1, and the game ended 3-1, and I think it just goes to show, like, his confidence is just shot. I think admirable that he wants to fight for his place in the United side, but he's not going to get the minutes, and I think that Southgate's just better off cutting his losses and just saying, go away, play some football, we'll keep you in the the training camps or whatever. He's obviously a popular figure around. I don't think he would have been kept in otherwise, but yeah, I just think it's time for him to just get 12 months of regular Premier League football under his belt, build his confidence back up a little bit, and then get back in the team. But he's not the only surprise, I don't think. I'm looking at Henderson as well, moving to a Saudi league, and when Grealish was tearing it up in the Championship for Villa, and we were saying that he should be picked in the England team, Southgate came out and said they've got to be playing in a competitive league.
Yeah.
You know, the Saudi league, okay, they've bought a lot of players this summer, and I'm sure it's a lot more competitive than it was. But let's be honest, it's not the same level as the Championship.
No.
It's just got more money. You know, there's a couple of dozen players that are of Premier League standard. That doesn't make it a quality league, and I don't understand his inclusion, to be honest. He was I almost knew Maguire was going to be picked, because why would Southgate do any different? But Henderson was the one I was surprised about more than anything, because I just thought that is a league that players go to retire now. I think, you know, getting towards the end of their career. I know there's a few younger players as well, but getting to the end of their career, big final payday, like the MLS sort of used to be, well, still is, I suppose, with Messi. But yeah, I was surprised at his inclusion. And looking at the forwards as well, Eddie Nketiah.
Yeah.
That was a bit of a shock for me. He's done all right for Arsenal, but he's hardly been prolific. I think, you know, I was surprised that, I know Watkins hasn't scored yet this season, but his form's generally been good for us. He scored in the Conference League, but not yet in the Premier League. But he's playing a bit of a different role now under Emery.
Do you see him playing? I see it like a bit like when Ivan Toney was called up, and we all thought that he'd get some minutes, and he never actually did. And you're looking at the other strikers; they've got Wilson, and obviously Kane, and even Rashford. Obviously, can play through the middle.
Yeah,
you'd have to say that Kane is more than likely going to start the games, and you'd probably see Wilson maybe coming on if they're comfortably in the league. Otherwise, Harry Kane isn't coming off. So I was quite surprised. I just feel that I think the one for me was Raheem Sterling.
Yeah.
I think personally, I think he could have got in over Eze, Foden, and Nketiah.
Yeah.
Really, I think he's been the standout for Chelsea this season so far. I mean, he was being picked for England last season when he was at Chelsea, and he wasn't playing well at all. So I just the logic for me just has been thrown out the window, because I think when Southgate took charge, he said he'd be picking on performance and not by name. But I think this isn't the first time it's happened where I think people have been left thinking, well, you know, Phil Foden has played a couple of games for Man City this season, but majority has been off the bench.
Yeah.
And like you said, Nketiah, I mean, he's 24 now. He's never been called up to the squad before, so I don't really see what's different.
Yeah.
You're always going to see Saka there. And Eze, I mean, I think he's just trying something a bit different with him, but again, with Grealish as well, I think he could have easily been in this team. So it's a bit of a strange one.
I think Grealish Grealish has pulled out because of injury. I think that's what I read today. But I mean, I get what you're saying about Nketiah. I don't think he will play, but I think he's there as third choice. I think Wilson is second choice. Again, he's not really had minutes for Newcastle. I know he's come on in a few of the games, but Isak's been starting more than anything. So I can only sort of put it down to getting Nketiah in the squad for a little bit of experience, or, you know, something along those lines. But he's 24 now, and I'm looking at the under-21 squad that won the tournament and has obviously done so well over the summer. And I'm thinking, well, why not then give one of the strikers from that team a go? Cam Archer, he scored on his Sheffield United debut, done well for Villa when he's been needed, did well in the tournament when he was needed. Why not? If they're not going to play, why not just give them that experience? Get them in the training camp, get them working with Kane, get them a bit of experience, you know, something along those lines. It does seems a bit of a strange decision to bring someone in at that age. I don't really know what we gain from it. But yeah, like you say, I think you're absolutely right. Sterling's started this season on great form. Again, there's players. Rashford, I sat in a bar a couple of weeks ago watching the Man United Spurs game with a load of Man United fans, and they're saying that he's on probably some of the worst form he's been on since he started for United. I don't think he's done much to warrant a place in the England squad at the moment. Looking at those forwards, Maddison's had a decent start to his Spurs career, but he did get relegated last season. Just putting it out there. Foden, like you say, in and out of the side. Saka, he's not had the greatest start to the season, but he's playing regularly. He's young. So I get the inclusion of him. But Calvin Phillips is another one. No game time whatsoever. I don't know how
he's one like Harry Maguire for me. Like no matter how little game time he plays, Southgate seems to prefer him. I mean, you've got to say that it's going to be 100% Bellingham and Rice that will start, and then it will be one of the others. I mean, if I had to choose between Gallagher, Henderson, and Phillips, Gallagher for me is I know I'm a Chelsea fan, he's a Chelsea player, but Gallagher's consistently been playing this season, and he's not playing in almost on the other side of the world. So I would play him, Gallagher. I think Gallagher, he gets a lot of stick, but I think whenever I see him play, to me he always gives 100%, and I think that resonates with a lot. He gets a lot of stick from other fans, but I think with Chelsea fans, they can see that he tries really like 100% every time, even when he comes off the bench, chases after everything. He'll never give up, and I think that's why he's like. And I was really, really glad that they didn't sell him, because he was heavily linked with moving away, and I thought, he warrants a place in that squad. And I thought to myself, if they sell him, then that's a huge risk letting him go. Because he'd get into, I reckon, at least 15 of the 20 teams in the Premier League. So.
Yeah, he has a bundle of energy, and sometimes the team does need that, especially when you play quite a rigid system, like Southgate does. It's very much, holding midfielders, attacking players. It's nice to have someone in the middle to be that pivot. But I was a little bit let down by this team, but I'm kind of getting used to it. Unfortunately, with Southgate these days, it's quite a regular occurrence. I think.
Who do you think is your starting goal?
This is the thing that I was going to mention, because really, our number one keeper is Jordan Pickford. I don't think he's going to change him, but let's be honest, Everton are struggling, and
I mean,
they're odds on to go down. I know I had them as surprising everybody before a ball was kicked, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen. So you're looking at.
Did you see?
Yeah.
It's so unlucky. It's funny.
Yeah.
But unlucky.
But he did, he made a great save at the end to keep it level. And he can do that. And I'm not saying he's a terrible keeper. I think he's a brilliant shot stopper.
Yeah.
And I think, you always see him barking out the order. Like, he's never quiet, which I quite like in a goalkeeper.
Yeah. See, this is what tips it for me, because I think he should start over Ramsdale. Just pure on the basis that he's so much more vocal than Ramsdale.
Yeah.
And I feel like when it comes down to that important save, he's made some quality saves over the last sort of 5-6 years. I know he's playing for a team that are really struggling, but personally, I think he should be playing at, a team that is in the top 10. But Ramsdale for me is okay, but I just always think that he's got a mistake in. I know all keepers have a mistake in them, but he looks nervous when he's got the ball at his feet.
Yeah.
Whereas Pickford just puts it through his,
he's sometimes a bit too calm, I think. Sometimes Pickford, but he's confident.
I'd go with Pickford.
Yeah, I think he will. I think Ramsdale's fine to be included as a number 2. Sam Johnston's done all right at Palace. I think he's a steady keeper. to have a third choice. But
yeah, I think
I've got to say, Nick Pope's a bit unlucky. He's not going to get a game, no. But you know, again, what do you sort of add if you bring Nick Pope in that you don't get with Sam Johnson? Not a lot, I guess. But he'd be my other pick.
My other question is, a fully fit Reece James, I think 100% gets into this team.
Yeah.
Who of these defenders would miss out? Bearing in mind, Ben Chilwell, I think it's the only left back that's been chosen.
Yeah.
And you've got Colwill, Dunk, Gahey, Maguire, and Tomori. So, do you think if James was fit, Maguire would miss out, or do you think Gahey would miss out? Because I think he would have picked Trippier and Walker anyway. Because Walker's got that versatility that he can play at centre back if needed.
Yeah,
but
he likes playing Trippier at left back as well.
Yeah.
So I think, like you say, he would be in that squad. Unfortunately, I think if Reece James was fit, he would take Tomori out. I don't think he should.
I think it'd be Tomori.
But I think it probably would be. I think he just prefers Guehi more. I'm not quite sure why, but I think Tomori would be the one to miss out. However, looking at it, I don't know whether Lewis Dunk's a late call-up, but he has been called up. And I think that I personally think that he would be the one that should miss out. If I was manager, I would keep Tomori, keep Guehi. Maguire would be gone anyway. I think if Tyrone Mings was fit, I'd bring in Tyrone Mings. Obviously, Villa fan, so highly biased. And John Stones as well. I'm not quite sure why John Stones hasn't been picked. I'm guessing he's injured.
He's injured, isn't he? Yeah.
Yeah. Ben White as well. I think he's done all right. He's obviously versatile, centre back, right back as well.
Yeah.
All people I would pick over probably Maguire and Dunk. Happy for Colwill to get a shout in there. I think he looked good last year. I'd give him a chance.
To be there?
I would. I think last season he was good. And I think now he's playing regularly for you guys. If he'd have been sat on the bench, I'd have said differently, but he's played every game so far. Albeit, I know that you've been a bit inconsistent for the first few games, but I don't think he's done anything wrong. So I'd include him. Why not? 20 years old, bags of potential, get him experience in that international environment.
Yeah, I'll mention about that later because we're going to talk about how our teams are doing it later. But he is one thing that I was going to talk about. But I think overall, we should get past it. Is it Ukraine and Scotland? But the Scotland game it's just a friendly, isn't it?
Yes, friendly against Scotland, and it's a qualifying game against Ukraine.
Ukraine, yeah, okay. Yeah, because the Scotland, there's something special about the Scotland game, isn't it? Or something, I can't remember. I've vaguely heard something about it. It's a centenary game or something like that. I'm not sure, but anyway. We'll move on to... Should we do transfer? Yeah, we'll do some summer transfers, and you've kind of done a little... You sent me a little list of things that we could go through, and we've picked a player or a team.
Yes, I just wanted to narrow it down a little bit.
Yeah, because obviously there's been huge money spent.
Loads of money, and we haven't got time to cover absolutely everything. So I've done 5 categories. So I'll whiz through the categories. So best sign-in, biggest bargain, worst sign-in, club with the best window, and club with the worst window. So if we start at the very beginning, I've got my ideas, and there's been the odd occasion where I've not been able to narrow it down to one. So I've actually cheated a bit.
I've actually got 2 as well.
Yeah. Okay, that's good. So best sign-in, I've got 2 for this one as well. It'd be interesting if they're both the same. What are you going for?
So I picked 2 players because they're very at different scales of 1, money, and 2, I picked Declan Rice.
Yeah.
I know the money's huge for him, but I feel like whatever team that he went to, he was going to improve them. Yeah. He could have got into any of those Premier League teams, and he probably could have got into any team in the world.
Yeah.
And I think he genuinely, so far this season, has improved Arsenal. And he even scored at the weekend. So I know that they paid a huge amount for him, but I think any team would have been lucky to have him.
So he was close. He was close to getting in my two as well. I think the reason I didn't include him, sorry to distract you a little bit, I think the reason that I didn't include him is because, no, I don't mean any offence to any Arsenal fan listening. I think he could have had his pick of any club in Europe. And I think if he'd have held out, for a Bayern or a Barcelona or a Real Madrid, I know they got Bellingham in the transfer window, so they probably weren't looking, or a Man City or someone like that. I think if he'd have held out, he probably could have gone for the same price, and he could have gone to someone who are more guaranteed trophies. I think Arsenal will win something, but I think, PSG are going to win the French league, so it would have made sense if you wanted to win trophies.
To me, it was screaming to go to Man City. I know that they tried to get him.
Yeah, I didn't want to say Man City, but yes, Man City would have been a preferred choice, I think.
My other choice is a bit left field, and it only happened on the very last day. Because one, I was surprised that this happened, and it's Ansu Fati's loan to Brighton. Now he is a really, really good player, and I cannot for the life of me understand why Barcelona have let him go. And for Brighton to get him, I think is a huge win for them. And very, very surprised at Barcelona. When I saw that he was linked to the Premier League, I thought, blimey, is he going Man City? Is he going Man United? And then to find out Brighton was getting him on loan, I was like, wow. And I think any sort of, when anyone has seen him play, he's a fantastic player. And
the youngest ever scorer for Barcelona, youngest for Spain as well, I think.
Yeah, and
took the number 10 from Messi.
It's mad because he's not. He was playing regularly for Barcelona last season, so I don't know what's happened there for them. I know that they desperately needed money, but
I think he was
another one. I think he
was injured for a little bit. I think he was out. He was out injured for a little bit, but 51 games for Barcelona in the last season, 10 goals.
Shot. I was just more shocked than anything that that Brighton had got him. I was like, okay, so that's why I put him on there. He's going to do really well, and I thought I had to put him in there.
So he makes my top two as well. He was actually the first one I wrote down was Ansu Fati on loan to Brighton. For all those reasons, like I say, youngest scorer for Barcelona, youngest scorer for Spain. Took over the mantle from Messi, really. I know he had injury problems for a couple of years, but he came back last season. Maybe didn't quite hit the form that they'd expect him to at this age, so maybe that's why they've decided to loan him out. But, I mean, like you say, when I thought it was Brighton, I thought I'd read it wrong. I thought it's got to be... I'm not going to say a big club, because Brighton are these days, let's be honest, they are a big club, but I thought it was going to be a Champions League team that were going to be after it. So to see that it was, Europa League Brighton. But fair play to them. Their recruitment's been, incredible for the last 3-4 years, probably longer. So to bring them in, to bring in Fati is just a huge deal. The second player I went for was Gvardiol for Man City.
Oh, yeah.
He's been a bit of a victim of Pep Roulette the first couple of weeks of the season, but he's still only young. So, Guardiola likes to introduce players slowly. He did it with Grealish. He did it with Foden when we were all screaming for Foden to get a loan out to play first team football. I think he will come good. He can play left back. He can play centre back, which I know that Guardiola likes his sort of wing backs to come inside. He looks really good going forward. Strong, great, loves a tackle. Looks a bit of a psycho as well, which always goes down well for the home fans. And I just think he's going to be a success. Every game I've seen him in for Croatia, every time I saw him for Leipzig in the Champions League, I thought he was a cut above the rest of the players that he's playing with. So I think it's a good move for him, good move for Man City. And I think they've got a long-term defender replacement, I guess, for Cancelo.
Yeah.
I think, I just think they've done really well there. So, sorry, I'm moving on to the next one. Biggest bargain. I was just finding my list for the biggest bargain. Sorry, I was just reading through. Again, I've got two answers for this one. So I'll be interested to hear yours. Who's your biggest bargain?
So I've based it basically on form for the first 4 or 5 games. I've gone for James Maddison.
Yeah.
Because I think 40 million is a really, really good price for him, for one. And two, I think he's improved that Spurs squad when I think you look at it, seeing Kane going, I think everyone thought that they might struggle, and it's been the complete opposite.
Yeah.
I think he's got 3 or 4 assists and a couple of goals as well. So, I mean, at the moment, for me, he seems like a very good bargain.
Yeah, he has started really well. I think he's linked up with Son really quickly in the games that I've seen so far. Like we said earlier, rightfully in the England side. Yeah. I think you're right. I think 40 million for him. Good deal for Leicester going down into the Championship. Got a decent price tag for him, but Spurs will think that they've not paid through the nose in this day and age to bring him in. So, yeah, I think that's a good shout. I didn't actually think about including Maddison in mine. I've gone. I've got one is less serious than the other. My more serious one is I've gone for Ryan Gravenberch. Not played yet for Liverpool.
Yeah.
But I thought 40 million euros. What's that? It's like 35 million quid, something like that. Still young. I remember watching him for Ajax in the Champions League and thinking what a talent he is. I've seen him for Holland as well. I think it was either in the Euros or the World Cup. And he was probably their best player at 18, 19 years old, something like that. He sat on the bench at Bayern for a couple of years now, I think. I know Tuchel doesn't really fancy him, so I think he's got a point to prove. Liverpool needed a midfielder, and I think they've got someone for such a young age for a decent price. And I think, like you said about Maddison, he probably improves what they've got because they were lacking a bit in the centre midfield area. So I've predicted big things for him for a while, and I think he'll do well in a Liverpool shirt. I think he suits their system. So watch me be horrendously wrong now. He will get injured and never play for them again. But he's my prediction for the biggest bargain. My less serious one is Tielemans, just because he was free. And I think, there's just so little risk, and we all know that he can be a quality player. And I think if Villa, I'm biased, I think if Villa get the best out of him, he could prove a real asset. It's just getting the right attitude from him. But for free, I thought, what a bargain. And I also think, I can't remember who picked him up. I think it was Crystal Palace picked up Jefferson Lerma for free as well. And I think that's quite a good steal. He was probably third on my list, but I went with these two in the end. So, moving from the best signing and the biggest bargains to the worst. You're not gonna like me after this, Chris, but I'll let you go first. Who do you think is the worst signing?
Well, I have put down Kai Havertz.
I thought you might.
You can't hit a barn door.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen it yesterday, but it just proves why. He's one of those. I never really knew where he wanted to play at Chelsea. He was never a centre forward. I don't think he can play on the wing either. No. But for 65 million, I think we're laughing, if I'm honest.
Yeah, I get where you're coming from. I think he didn't have a great game yesterday. He hasn't really looked confident so far this season, but I always saw him as an Ozil type. He might go missing for a few games, but I think if you get him in the right positions and you can sort of play through him, if you like, it's less about the goals he scores and it's more about the assists. But we're yet to see either, to be honest.
Yeah.
So I do completely get where you're coming from.
Are you about to say Caicedo?
I am, yeah. I am about to say
I knew that was coming.
The reason being, you just don't have a great record of signing players from Brighton, I've got to be honest. And for 115 million, that's a lot of money. He's got to be... I mean, Kante left. And I know that there's going to be a transition period. And I know you're not going to get anyone that's going to be quite at Kante's level to replace him. But spending 115 million on such a young talent who looked good for Brighton for a season, and he did, it's a big gamble, and I can just see it going the way that Cucurella went. Yeah, I don't know. I might be wrong, but it's a lot of money. If it had been 50 or 60, I probably wouldn't have even considered including him.
Yeah, is a high
such fee.
It's a huge fee, isn't it? And that's going to take a lot to pay back from him.
Yeah.
But to be
especially
fair,
when Declan Rice is available. Like Declan Rice was, I know probably wouldn't have gone to Chelsea, but you're looking at similar fees. In fact, I think you paid a little tiny bit more for Caicedo, and you compare the two, and I just think Rice has proven and has been for.
He played alright against Forest. We just couldn't score.
Yeah.
He played alright actually. He was one of the better players, but I mean the fees. So.
Yeah. So I do apologise. He may well prove me wrong, but
the quiz later. I'm just crossing out the help.
Okay.
just so.
Fair enough.
What's the club best?
Club of the best window. So I've gone with Brighton.
Hey, well, we've gone for the same one on that one.
Yeah, purely because again the amount that they've sold their players for, and the people that they've bought in already look to fit their system. Probably thanks to De Zerbi, let's be honest.
That guy they got from Dortmund, De Hood, he's a good player, isn't he?
He is, he is. They always sign really technical, good technical players. They've always got a good first touch, good at passing. They just fit that Brighton system really well. Quick style, one touch, get it forward quickly, and it's working for them. Well, it has been for the last 2 or 3 years now. So I've gone with them for the best window. Purely because they've made a massive profit on the players that they've sold, and the guys that they've bought in have instantly fit that system. And I think they've made some really good signings. And I think James Milner, you could argue him for the biggest bargain as well, because he is just going to keep going and going and going till he's 50. He's just an absolute engine. So
I saw the game at the weekend. And Billy Gilmour was playing for them.
Yes,
he had a really good game for them. He had a really good game. He assisted one of the goals as well. So it's good to see him doing well as well. He was one I thought that Chelsea wouldn't sell a couple of seasons ago when they sold him to Norwich. I thought they should keep him. But
and they've sold all their goalkeepers as well. I mean, Sanchez has gone to you. I think Steele's left. So
they've signed
a completely new goalkeeping unit, and they've signed Flecken, who I think is great.
They've signed a guy from Anderlecht, haven't they?
Yeah. Young lad, and I know him from Football Manager. I never played him because his stats weren't brilliant, and they paid 16 million, and I thought interesting, but he's had a really good start. He's had a great start to his career. I think he's made some good saves. He's looked confident, and he's only 21, or maybe even younger than that. So, So from the best window to the worst.
Right. So I chose this team because one, they haven't really signed anyone. Two, they needed to sign players, and they didn't. I've gone for Everton.
Yeah, they were my second choice. Yes, I do see where you're coming from, though.
I chose Everton because, one, they've signed Ashley Young on a free transfer. He's 38.
Mm-hmm.
They signed Jack Harrison on loan. They've got Dan Juma from Villarreal, who wasn't particularly great at Tottenham. I think he was at Tottenham last season. Dan Juma?
Yeah.
And he's at Bournemouth as well.
Yeah. Yeah, and he didn't do well there either.
And they've signed this other guy from Udinese called Beto, who I've never heard of.
No, and they've signed a young lad as well, haven't they?
Shamiti,
yes,
isn't it? Yeah.
Shamiti.
So, yeah, I mean, it is just really, really lacking, isn't it? So,
yeah.
Yeah, that was purely on the bit. But they did get rid of Moise Keane now. He has gone, I don't know if you realise, he has actually gone to Juventus now.
Yeah. Yeah, it's about time, isn't it?
So,
yeah, and Andros Townsend as well. He's been there a while. Yerry Mina left. Begovic left. Tom Davis left as well, which I never thought he was ever going to do.
Well, they let him go. They let him go, didn't they?
Yeah. And Iwobi obviously going to Fulham on deadline day as well. So yeah, I did see Everton and think, yeah, they're going to take some beating to have had the worst transfer window. But the team that I went for, again, didn't really sign anybody, and again, desperately needed to sign people. And I've gone for Wolves.
Yeah, Wolves would have been my second choice.
I was
up in an hour in between them both.
The reason being is Everton's key players to keeping them up last year were Onana, Pickford, probably just Onana and Pickford, to be fair, and they kept both of them.
Yeah.
Wolves' key players last season were Matheus Nunes, Nathan Collins, Ruben Neves, João Moutinho, and you can say to a certain extent in the past Raul Jimenez. And they haven't replaced any of them. They've all left, and they've had signings of Boubacar Traore, who we spoke about on the pre-season pod. I still don't really know who he is. Matt Doherty's come back for free. They've got someone from Northampton for free. A guy called Santiago Bueno. I've no idea what position he plays in or who he is. Tommy Doyle on loan. And then they've got Enzo Gonzalez, who they signed from Libertad, and John Rickner Bellegarde, who they signed from Strasbourg. I don't think any of those players are replacements for Nunes, Cody, Collins, Jimenez, Neves, Diego Costa, João Moutinho. They lost to Adama Traore as well, and I know he wasn't on the best form last season, but he was still an important player for them. I just think in terms of what if they'd have kept all those players and just signed the list of players that I mentioned, it would be an okay window. But to lose all of those players, that is the spine of your team.
Yeah.
And I think to lose them all and not replace them it's a bad window. You've got to say that is quite a bad window. And to lose your manager as well. Couldn't have gone much worse really, I don't think, over the summer.
Well, he left
Wolves.
Like 3 days before the season started, didn't he?
Yeah. He was going to leave at the end of the season because there was no money.
They'd give him loads of money, didn't they?
Yeah. And then they said they'd give him money, and then they never gave him any money, so he ended up leaving. I just don't know why they didn't get it over with at the start of the summer and just say, okay, if you want to leave, there's nothing we can do. But, they sold players for a decent profit. I mean, Nunes went to City for 53 million. Neves went for 47 million. Collins to Brentford for 23 million. That's a sizable chunk. I'm guessing it's financial fair play that they're in trouble with.
Yes.
But I don't. It's just a bad win. It could have been either Wolves or Everton, but it was just based on the players that left. I thought the Wolves players that left were more important to Wolves than the Everton players who left. So that's what swayed it for me.
Cool. Right, we're going to quickly go through how our teams have started the season. I guess I'll go first, just because I can. Nothing's really changed, if I'm honest.
No, same old.
Just bottom half of the table, as usual. Getting used to it now. But no, there have been moments in the first 4 games where you can kind of see Poch's style of play working, and then there's been some times where it just hasn't worked at all. Especially against West Ham. I think we were always expected to beat Luton. We didn't play particularly well, and we did. But I think when first game of the season against Liverpool, it's probably been our best game so far. We drew, but there was a lot of fight in the team, and we looked dangerous going forward. And we should have actually won the game, but it's just the age-old thing of we're just not converting the chances that we're getting. I know we've bought a new striker, Jackson. Seemed to do really well pre-season, but it's really struggled at times this season in front of goal, especially at the weekend. He missed a shot from about 5 yards. Just put it over the bar. But then we've signed a lot of players again in the summer, and a lot of them are young players. If you look at the lineup at the weekend, Dizazi, he's done well, I think, so far. Sanchez, there's question marks about the goalkeeping situation, why they let Mendy and Kepa go. And then obviously Reece James is injured again. So Gusto's come in. We signed him last season, but he went out on loan.
He's done alright, hasn't he, so far?
Yeah, Fernandes has been playing more of an attacking role as well since joining, but we had Maatsen on the bench at the weekend. He's done well, and obviously we've got Cole Palmer as well. So I was quite happy we got him from Man City. It's a lot of change in the squad. So you can only really say that Cucurella, Madueke, Mudryk, who were on the bench, were there last season. Everyone else is either new or come back from loan. But again, I don't want to use an excuse, but we are missing a lot of players through injury. Who would probably be up there. Chukwuemeka, he did really well, I thought, first couple of games, got a goal as well against West Ham. Fofana, just injured constantly again. Reece James, same. Lavia, who we signed from Southampton, just not match fit at the ready. And, one of the ones in Kunku as well, who's not going to be playing in December, who was bought in to score goals.
Yeah.
So,
do you think this is a case now, because everything about your transfer window suggests that it's building for the future?
Yeah.
Do you think they've essentially said to Poch, you don't need to win anything this year. It's about bedding in the players that we give you, and in sort of 2 or 3 years now, that's when we're going to be aiming to look at winning things.
Yeah.
Or is there still as a Chelsea fan, are you still expecting to win a trophy this year?
Yeah, it would be nice to, but when you see us signing young players, like literally everyone that we were signing are 22 or below. We've signed so many players that are like 19 and 20 who haven't had sort of big match experience, and you can only see that in the owner's eyes that they're building for the future. So this squad isn't going to be ready to challenge for anything for at least 2 or 3 years. But whether they're signing these players so other teams don't get them, I don't know. But it definitely looks like the end goal is, in 4 or 5 years' time, we become a competitive side in the league with these players. Yeah. But I guess
what would you be happy with this year? Like, if you take trophies out of it,
I just want to get back
in terms of
Europe.
It doesn't matter what competition, just back in Europe.
Back into Europe. See the Champions League draw last week. Oh God, this is awful.
It made a change for me to be concerned about a European draw, and you just weren't bothered.
Yeah, no, I didn't even bother. I couldn't even tell you who Villa got in their group at all. But
I'll tell you later.
I watched the Champions League draw, and I was just like, this is soul destroying. Not to see your club that have been in this draw, not every year, but in the last sort of 15, 16 years of being there, sort of 13, 14 times, and even won it twice. I mean, it's not great, but like I said, if we could get back into Europe, I know that's we should be winning stuff, but I think you just got to give the benefit of the doubt that we've got a really young squad, and I think we are in for a tough season again. I think if we get into Europe, I think that'll be a bonus. But we'll have to wait and see. We're only 4 games in, aren't we? So
yeah, early days, especially for an international break. But unfortunately, yes, but no Premier League action for the next few weeks. But yeah, a lot. I mean, at least it makes for an exciting transfer deadline day, or at least transfer deadline week. I think for Chelsea, bringing in so many people. It was slightly less exhilarating for me.
Yeah, I know a lot of people complaining about the money that they've spent, but you've got to take into account that we've sold a lot of players as well. We've made a huge amount.
Yeah.
And, they're saying we've spent over £1 billion since he's come in, but to be fair, he has had 3 transfer windows. So I know he's roughly spent about 300 million per transfer window, but we have made a considerable amount of money through transfers, especially to the Saudi teams.
Yeah.
Just like to take all our players, really. So, yeah.
Yeah, they have. Yeah. Villa, inconsistent, I think, to begin with. Look good against Burnley and who else do we play? Everton, I think. Generally, very pleased with how we've played. I think the Newcastle game, first game of the season, the 5-1, did flatter them slightly. They were the better team on the day. I'm not going to say that Villa should be winning that, but we should have given a better account of ourselves. But I don't think the scoreline was as bad as it looked. I can't say the same for the game at the weekend. We were better in the second half than in the first half, I think.
Yeah.
But I think this is the first game really that I've looked at what our tactic was and sort of wondered why Emery's played that way. Cause we were playing a high line of defence, and I know that you have to sort of settle into the way that you play. It shouldn't really matter who you play. You try and impose yourself on the opposition. But such a high line against Liverpool, it's not going to go well. The pace that they've got in attack, it's been that way for the last 7 years, 8 years since Klopp has been there. Just seemed like we were setting ourselves up for a downfall. And once we conceded early on, there was just no way back into it. However, having said that, I know you can say it's only Hibernian that we played in Europe, but it's not an easy place to go on a weeknight up to Scotland. The atmosphere was pretty good, really. John McGinn going to his old club, they were giving him a lot of stick as well on the day. So to come away from that as comfortable as we did, I was really pleased with that. So, yeah, a long way to go. Pleased with the transfer window. I think Torres is a good signing. I think he'll bed in. He's looked a little bit nervous, but he'll get there. We've just, like you said, I don't want to blame injuries, but we've lost Moreno, who's our first choice left back. I think Mings would still be in the starting lineup if he was fit, and he's obviously, I think he's out for the rest of the season now. It looks like an ACL injury. Buendia, I think, has also got an ACL injury, and I think he's going to be out for quite some time. I don't know whether he would start now we've got Diaby, but he would be near the starting lineup anyway. Yeah, I think so. Ramsey, who I think would be starting, is obviously, he's coming back from injury. He's not played for us yet, but he's coming back. And I think I've missed someone, but I can't remember for the life of me. Oh, Martinez has been out injured recently as well. He did play at the weekend, but he was out for a few games, and Robin Olsen came in. So, yeah, we've got players to come back. I'm not overly worried. I still think the target is a repeat of last year. I think, 7th would be a good season for us if we had a good cup run. And I think if we got knocked out of Europe, or we were knocked out, 3rd round of the FA Cup and 3rd round of the League Cup, I'd expect a little bit more in the league. I'd expect us to be pushing for the top 6.
Yeah.
But I'm personally hoping, I'd be happy if I could choose my season. I'd be happy with 7th and a good run in Europe, like West Ham had last year.
Yeah.
I'd not necessarily win in the Conference League. There's going to be good teams in it, but to give a good account, maybe get to a final or something like that, would show how far we've come. So, yeah, a lot to improve, but there's signs that we're building a good team. I think we've got a bigger squad now, I think, than we had previously. I was personally a little bit frustrated with our last couple of weeks in the transfer deadline, not necessarily because we didn't bring anyone in, but we seemed to sell a lot of our young players. I know we've got buyback clauses in them, but to see Aaron Ramsey, Cam Archer and Philogene all go, I thought they'd have a part to play in the Conference League this season. We got good prices for them, but I would have liked to have seen them in a Villa shirt, at least for this year. And it doesn't look like it's going to happen. So that was a bit of a shame. I was hoping that Archer was going to be our second choice striker this season. Duran has started well though. He's come off the bench and he's had a start and he's scored. So I can't really knock Emery for doing that. But it would have been nice to have seen, Cam Archer being a homegrown talent come through the academy to actually play for Villa in Europe. But he started well for Sheffield United anyway. So I think every Villa fan will have a soft spot for him. So it's good to see him doing well.
Cool. So that's it for part 1. In part 2, we'll be back with a quiz at Who Am I and some Wonders of White. Hello and welcome back to part 2 of this episode of the podcast. We're going to go back into the Wonders of White. It's back for another series.
I think is it our only feature that's gone on this entire time? I think
I've been doing it. I think since pretty much the start.
Yeah. A fan favourite.
Okay. So Declan Rice's goal after the 95 minutes and 43 seconds is the latest winning goal in the Premier League match between Arsenal and Manchester United. Then we've got at age 20 years and 65 days, Jude Bellingham, who scored in his last 2 league games for Dortmund and his first 4 for Real Madrid, is the youngest Englishman to score in 6 consecutive appearances in Europe's Big 5 leagues since 92-93 season.
It's, a proper talent. You're going to ask me now who the last one was, aren't you?
No, I'm not, because I don't know myself.
Good. Thank God for that. I have no idea.
Erling Haaland's son and Evan Ferguson. Today is only second time 3 different players have scored a Premier League hat-trick on the same day. The last one being September 23rd, 1995. Now, I do have the 3 players.
Oh, okay.
I'll give you the teams. So it was in 95. So Liverpool. It doesn't say the teams. I'm trying to remember who he played for. It would be either Blackburn or Newcastle. That probably gives it away.
That's
and Leeds.
Alan Shearer then. Yeah. Alan Shearer.
Yeah.
Liverpool. Robbie Fowler.
Robbie Fowler.
And
Leeds.
The other one was Leeds, was it?
Yeah.
At 95.
Yeah.
Hasselbank? Is it too early? Oh, God. I've no idea.
I'll give you a clue. He scored quite an iconic goal for Leeds.
Oh, it's got to be Yeboah then.
It was Tony Yeboah, yeah.
Oh, what a player. Forgot all about him for a moment there.
And last but not least, this is West Ham's joint highest points tally after their opening 4 games of Premier League, having earned 10 points so far, which matches their 99-2000 record. And I think the manager then was Alan Kirbishley. I'm not 100% sure, but someone did put a comment on this one and called him the Moisiah. The Moisiah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah.
Yeah, but they get us back when they lose games. They're all over him saying to get him sacked. So yeah, they're fickle. They're fickle.
Yeah, they wanted him out last year, didn't they?
And yeah. He won a trophy.
Now.
And now fickle. Okay, I have a quiz for you.
Excellent.
Slightly different to. Yeah, no, you got no help. Slightly different to a normal quiz, where in this case, I have a brief hint at who this person might be, but to give you a clue, these are all players that have been capped just once for England.
Okay.
So they are one cap wonders.
Nice.
That's why I've titled the quiz. Okay, so there's 10 in total. Obviously there's not just 10, but these are the 10 that I picked out. So the first one is a current Bournemouth striker.
That's got. I was about to say Callum Wilson. He hasn't played for Bournemouth for a couple of years. It's not. It's Solanke.
It is Solanke. Second, this player's retired, but he's a former Norwich and West Ham striker.
That has got to be. He retired early, didn't he?
His knees.
Yeah, Dean Ashton.
Dean Ashton.
I think he would have gone on to get more. I think he was. I really rated Dean Ashton. Yeah, injuries ruined him, didn't they?
I think he retired. He was like 29, right? He's like 29, 30 maybe.
I'll have a Google. Hang on. While you line up the next question.
Okay, so the next one is a current Gas manager.
Oh, that's Bristol Rovers, isn't it? Yeah. It's Joey Barton.
It is Joey Barton. Okay, next one is a retired Leeds and Newcastle midfielder known for having an on-field brawl with a teammate.
Well, it's got to be either Kieran Dyer or Lee Bowyer, and I seem to remember Kieran Dyer playing for England quite a lot, so I'm going to go with the other one, Lee Bowyer.
Bowyer.
I've just Googled it, and he was 26, Dean Ashton, when he retired. So he was still quite young. And it was an injury sustained during international duty with England.
His one cap, he got.
His one cap, he got.
Basically, well, at least he got a cap, I guess.
Yeah.
Next one, you'll know this one, an Aston Villa fullback, and in brackets, I guess you could call him an Aston Villa legend.
An Aston Villa the only Villa fullback that I think had one cap was Stephen Warnock. So I'm going to go with him.
It's not Stephen Warnock.
It's not?
It was Lee Hendry.
Oh, he's a midfielder, Chris. Sorry, it threw me.
It said fullback, but never mind. Current Leeds striker. Your favourite.
Oh, God. Patrick Bamford. Of course it is.
Former West Ham and Liverpool defender.
Oh. I can't think of any.
Also something that men use to shave. He had a nickname.
Oh, Neil Ruddock. Razor. Of course.
A retired Bolton striker known for his heading.
Yes. Kevin Davis. Big Kevin Davis. What a legend.
Number 9, switched countries to play in AFCON.
Oh, God, loads of them did.
Former Yeovil defender.
Oh, I was going to say Zaha. But no. A former Yeovil defender. That's really thrown me now, that.
Who's the not known?
I don't know, I'm going to have to pass on that one.
Sierra Leone is the team that he now plays for.
I'm going to pass.
It's Stephen Coulker.
Oh, of course it is. Yeah, I remember Stephen Coulker.
And last but not least is a new Crystal Palace goalkeeper.
Dean Henderson.
Correct.
Signed in this transfer window.
Yes. Well done.
Was that 8?
It was 8, yeah.
7, 8, yeah. I'm happy with that. Anything above 7 is normally pretty good for me.
Okay, so you've got a Who Am I?
I have got a Who Am I. I have got a couple of clues. I don't think you'll need them.
Okay. Okay.
I've included this because I bumped into a Rangers fan this weekend. So there's a clue. One of his teams is Rangers. Inspired by the injustice that was their goal that got disallowed against them this weekend, I thought I'd include a former Rangers player. So, should we go start to finish?
Yeah.
This player's retired.
Okay, I was about to say he's still playing, but no.
Okay. In fact, I will let you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So he's played for 9 teams. I'm going to let you pick 2 numbers just to make it a little bit more difficult, and I will take those 2 teams out because I think this one's quite easy. So pick 2 numbers between 1 and 9.
1 and 9.
You've taken out 1 and 9. Okay.
Yeah.
Fine. I don't know how much easier or more difficult that's made it, but okay. So first club is blank. Second club is Tottenham Hotspur. Third is Lazio. Fourth is Rangers. Then you've got Middlesbrough, Everton, Burnley, Gansu Tianma, and then the final team, which will remain nameless. Do you want me to run through those again?
No. It's the Tottenham, Lazio, Rangers thing that I want to believe that this is Paul Gascoigne, but I don't remember him playing for any of the other teams that you just said. It's Paul Gascoigne, isn't it? Yeah.
It is Paul Gascoigne, yeah.
The Tottenham, Lazio, Rangers thing, but the other teams slightly threw me a bit, because when you said Tottenham, Lazio, and Rangers, I thought this is definitely Paul Gascoigne. Then you kept going. I was like, wait.
So what teams have I missed? I'll give you an extra point if you can get both of them. So what's his first?
So the first team would be Newcastle.
Yeah, correct.
Oh, bloody hell. I don't know where he ended up.
It's a little bit more tricky. He only played 4 games. Any idea?
Not a clue.
He played 4 games in 2004 for Boston United.
Never got that.
Yeah. Which is why you could. To be fair, you probably could have cut out. I mean, he played 6 games for Burnley in 2002, 4 games for Gansu Tianma. I can only imagine they're playing in a country that I've no idea.
Gansu,
China or Thailand.
No.
Like he played 4 games for them in 2003 and then 4 games for Boston in 2004. He played 32 games for Everton, scoring 1 goal. 41 for Middlesbrough, scoring 4 goals.
Yeah, but good. Rangers, good.
Yeah, his best time, obviously Newcastle and Spurs. He played 92 games for both of them. 21 goals for Newcastle, 19 for Spurs. 43 games for Lazio and only 6 goals, but 74 games for Rangers, 30 goals.
Probably the best time. So what's that, like 1 in 4? One goal in every 4 games? That's not too bad.
It's not bad for a midfielder. I mean, he took a mean set piece, didn't he? Especially in his early days. I always remember that. The free kick, well, I don't remember because I don't think I was alive when he scored it, but the free kick for Spurs in the FA Cup semi-final. But yeah, 83 goals in total, 388 games.
I was just reading that he was manager of Kettering Town in 2005.
He was. Not for very long. Yeah. He had a varied career.
Oh, right. So his personal issues ended his coaching career and he is not working in football. Oh, right. It seemed like he was working at Kettering Town, but he ended up getting sectioned. So, he hasn't done anything in football, has he, since then?
No. I mean, I think obviously his demons. So, but yeah, obviously great player for England as well. But I thought he scored a few more actually, 10 goals in 57 games. But he obviously meant a lot more to England, I think, than just his goals. So, England legend.
He played 57 games, it says there, for England, which is pretty damn good.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Right, well, that's it for this week and the start of the new series. Anything else, Liam?
Nothing from me.
I'm just going to say, watch Harry Maguire score for England. Okay.
90th minute.
Everything's
90th minute winner against Scotland. Yeah.
Gareth Southgate's just just pulls off his suit. He's got a t-shirt saying that's why I picked him or something like that. Yeah. All right, mate. All right. So we will be back again next week.